Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. Tonight we have episode 2 of Freak Show, with yours truly as the GM. Our recap tonight will be given by Eric Meisner. Eric?
Friday, July 27th, 1923. Today, I finally arrived at a meeting for the job the Arcane Society tipped me off at. Nowadays, it seems most tasks they got me are small potatoes. Investigate some traumatized person, realize they snapped because of something traumatic happened to them when they were children, or what have you. We sat outside Peg, the leader of the Arcane Society's office, as usual protocol, for a job. I guess I owe him, considering they saved me from those demons years ago. He introduced me to the men and surprisingly woman who I was supposedly working with. He got us ladies to introduce us first. Lenore Williams was an independent woman who owned her own library and graduated from his time. Gwen Jones came shortly afterwards. She's some kind of spiritualist. Seems high up in the order. I suppose you can make a living off this. Then I came out. I suppose I don't know much about myself outside of my books, but I mentioned everything noteworthy I could. Two of the lads were last, of course. Paul, he was some kind of psychologist, practiced here locally in Arkham. Then lastly, Michael McManus. He said he was a police detective. Not currently, though. He runs his own private investigation for him. Fine young gentleman. But after that, we were at the job at hand. We all met a woman named Elizabeth. Poor young girl. Looks like she didn't sleep for days because of some psychic noises she's been hearing. Says she's been seeing visions. Can't understand. Sounded like some other cause of delirium or mania, but they trusted her abilities. So, Ted said there's been a lot of her condition going around since the carnival came down. He said we're going to explore every angle possible. Now, we figured out that the carnival's run by Nichols. He runs his own Nichols Carnival. Comes around here every summer. Moves from town to town. So from there, we had our lunch, but not before riding to my sweet Jeremy, of course. I wish he was here to hold me in his arms. Damn publishing companies had him working over a few towns over since last year, but I suppose it helps, considering I might have to tell him about the Arcane Society, which I don't want. We arrived when it opened. I got a chance to try my luck at the Midway games. Stupid things were rigs, of course, but it didn't matter to me when I was little. We settled on talking to Alexandra, the psychic. Turns out our psychic was actually someone named Pete, someone who knew Gwen. So it wasn't a total loss. We have a friend at the investigation. Also said that he's going to Bolton, and then when they pick up the circus and move, he said we can go talk to him if we need to. Then we decided to go see the freak show, typical for a circus. Buried ladies, little men, lion shows, and then the snake men. But a few really caught my eye. One was a fetus of some kind. I couldn't even begin to describe. I blacked out as soon as my eyes caught it. But then they got out the fish boy. It had webbed fingers, with brown, blackish, rubbery skin and a pale face that reminded me of the old Innsmouth look. I'm just glad I got that letter sent out to Jeremy. I wouldn't get involved in this kind of business if I knew what was going. Oh, sorry. What else am I missing? That's about it as far as I got.
Let's see. Well,
yeah, and
after that, Mike McManus overheard.
oh yeah, and then we met the guy.
He heard a failed attempt by some Innsmouth folk to purchase the child.
Some folks been trying to purchase this child.
They went to the ring show and they saw the various acts. And then after that, as they were getting ready to leave, they saw Professor Hardy from Miskatonic's biology department, who also seemed interested in the child. He wanted to rescue it from the cruel carnies. And then he left. And
That's pretty much where we left off.
you guys are still at the carnival. It's closing in about an hour and a half.
Okay, so first intro.
So what do you guys want to do? You're all muted. You're all eating food.
Tired by this point.
I mean, we didn't actually decide what we were going to do.
Yeah.
But I think we should retire. I mean, we've got to be up early.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because when they move, we're moving.
I was gonna probably swing back to the Arcane Society and fill them in on what we've seen so far.
Well, it's pretty late.
Okay.
Somebody might be up, but
Just kidding.
go ahead. Oh,
Would it be possible to go to the Arcane Society's library and maybe do some research on Innsmouth?
yes, the Corbin Library.
Mm-hmm.
You've always got access to that.
Okay.
Cool. Because I'd love to do an occult roll or something like that.
Okay, cool. So Gwendolyn, why don't you accompany me back to the Arcane Society? We'll hit up their library and see what we can find out. How about you, gentlemen? What do you want to do?
Me personally, I'm ready for bed, but y'all are more than welcome to search the library. If you do need me, I'll come along, and I just might be sleeping in one of the chairs.
Might as well search the library.
Okay.
Oh, we won't find your book in the Arcane Society's library.
How about finding 50 copies of it?
Okay, so what happens is as you are heading towards the exit, okay, you're kind of near the midway, because that's on the one side as you're going out. A fight breaks out. It's a bunch of young people. Looks like a bunch of boys are starting to beat the crap out of each other, and they're having a big fight, and they're screaming at each other. And this goes on for just a couple of minutes, and they're rolling around on the ground, and people are trying to stay out of their way, and a few people are, ladies are screaming because they're getting too close, and a number of men show up. One of them is this big, enormous fellow. Looks like he'd make, the bouncer at any main club. And he's got a couple of other men with him, and they're just dressed in regular clothes. But the big guy just sort of pushes through the crowd and goes in there and just, grabs one of the kids by the scruff of his neck and grabs another kid by the scruff of his neck. And you sort of hear the gist of what the fight is about. They're both fighting over a girl, and the big guy and his men are rounding up anybody else who is involved in the fight, and they're hustling them out. They're throwing them out. And this is happening just, a few feet from them. They get to like the front gates, and they throw them out and tell them that they're not welcome to come back. And the one guy's like, "I'll be watching." And he says, he also is trying to get their names out of them as they go along. And he's learned that this group are the Finley brothers, and this group are some people from Kingsport, which, as I told you, they have kind of a nasty reputation. And he says, "I don't want to see you Kingsport kids around here anymore, and you Finley boys should know better." He throws them out. But anyways, he turns around and he's doing like this, and he starts to talk to his men about, 20 minutes, we're going to start breaking down the carnival.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, yes, Mr. Rayburn. Of course, Mr. Rayburn. So now you guys can just walk past, or you can say something, or you can just leave.
I think Michael, as he's walking past, will be like, "You handled those damn kids pretty good.
Damn right I did.
Somebody should have taught them better or spanked their ass or something."
They're just kids. I've seen a lot worse.
They're observed the whole thing. I mean,
Yeah, I've seen worse.
yeah.
People get drunk. Worse troublemakers.
Mm-hmm.
And he sort of he looks at Jacqueline, and he's like, "Well, my goodness, aren't you a beautiful thing?"
Oh, you don't even know half of it.
Really? I'd like to find out the other half of it.
I turned to Jackie and I said, "I think you're about to get married."
Oh.
And
please,
who are
Jeremy,
you, my
don't
dear?
like that.
Oh,
They're gonna have to tell you about Jeremy, my boyfriend.
Oh, you got a boyfriend. Well, that doesn't matter.
Oh,
we can leave him at home.
Oh, is that I slap him, brawling if I have to.
Okay, you slap him. You probably slap him good, and his reaction to it is just like, yeah, I like it, right? It's like slapping a stone, and he just sort of smiles at you, and he looks over at Lenore, and he's like, "And who are you, my dear?"
Oh, I'm Mrs. Mason.
Mrs. Mason. Well, we can leave your husband at home too.
Oh no.
Faithful, huh?
Yep.
So some of the best broads that I get are faithful to their husbands.
Well,
How about you, lady? Gwendolyn, are you married?
She kind of stares and says, "No, but I tell you this: I'm a woman with a gun in her boot."
Yeah,
And
we're
she
all
just-
women. Yeah, we all have guns in our boot. Where else would you keep them? And he's like, "I've got another gun, and I'd really like you to see it."
Just
like
a-
saw him. He's just some kind of asshat.
He's like, he says to Gwendolyn, he says, "You seem a little different than these other ladies."
Michael's gonna step up and be like, "I'm sorry, pal. I just don't think they're too interested in this.
Well,
you have a nice night. We're gonna head off."
He's like, "All right, you guys have a nice evening then.
Mm.
Don't get
Oh,
into
I
any
pay
trouble."
attention. I pay attention to him, to Michael.
Okay.
That's praiseworthy.
Well, you sort of hear him. You sort of hear him laughing. He's just having a good time, and he gets his buddies, and they go back inside. They're obviously like circus security or something.
I'm gonna try something.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at the others, and I'm gonna say, "You just walk down the street. I'll meet with you there." And I'm gonna turn. Yeah. Oh yeah, Tom. I'm looking right at you. I'm turning around, and I'm gonna try and get the man's attention.
be careful, Linda.
I look back at everyone and I say, "I can handle myself."
Show him your ankles. It'll be very scandalous.
There's a gun
He's,
strap to him, so.
Well, he says, "Okay, you got my attention." And he says, "You
Right.
want to have a little fun? You like to drink?"
So she's gonna look at it a little, and I'm going to do a charm. I'm gonna do a charm, which is really fucking high, and I'm going to say, maybe after a drink or two, you can tell me a little about yourself and a little bit what you do here.
Well, of course, my dear. My name is Brad, by the way, Brad Rayburn.
Hi, Brad, and she shakes his hand and says, "Gwendolyn Jones. It's good
He's
to
like-
meet you."
All of a sudden, one of his other guys come up to him and tap him on the shoulder, and he's like, "What?" And he just the guy just sort of looks at him with like open eyes, and Rayburn's he's like we got 20 minutes.
I'm gonna look at him and I'm gonna say, oh, you don't need to spend all your time talking to little old me. I'll be at your next stop.
Oh, you're coming to Bolton.
I am coming to Bolton, and my associates, but you don't need to pay any attention to them. They don't have class.
Well, you got it. He says, I'll see you then tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow.
He's like, unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to give you the attention you deserve because I got to get together with these roustabouts and break down the circus and move it.
That's fine. I'll think of cornering you when I get to the circus.
You're going to corner me, eh? I like that.
And I'm going to walk away with a smile.
And he's like, and he's practically frickin' skipping.
Yeah,
and that's pretty amazing because he's like 6'5" and like probably 270 pounds because he's muscles.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, and she's gonna try and like kind of hurry back to the group, and her smile at this point is faded, and she's gonna say, "Fucking carnies."
They're all just outside the gate like this.
Yeah.
Oh, if Jeremy knew what I was consulting with, he'd come over here and beat all of their ass.
All right, so you
the
guys
important thing is that we have a contact. Yeah, we're going to the library.
Yep. All right, so you're going to head over to the Corbin Library.
Yep.
I don't have that picture, but you've seen it in a previous episode, I think.
Yeah.
It's not important.
Well, this is, Tom, when we use the power of imagination.
Yes, the power of imagination. Well, the short description is it's not a large library. It's more of a private library, but it's still open to the public. Only they have a fairly large collection of general occult books. Miskatonic has the real big one, the University. But the Corbin Library is part of the general meetings for the Arcane Society are held in Corbin Hall next door. So there's a little back room in Corbin Library where the Arcane Society keeps all of its records, and there's a conference table where you can all sit around and go over stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so you get to the Corbin Library and you get yourself comfortable in there. You turn on the lights and maybe start some coffee. And what would you guys like to look up?
We're going to do some research on Innsmouth. See if there's anything written about its people, any strange going-ons there, that sort of thing.
Well, let's see. That would have been a good time. I didn't actually expect you to do that. So I'll tell you what I know. Innsmouth is a town that was founded in like 15-something as a fishing village. It's never been very large and almost completely an obscure place. Very little ever came out of it except... And they did very poorly during like the famine of 17 something or other. But soon after that, the town became revitalized, and a fish packing plant and surprisingly enough, a gold refinery sprang up in the town. Both of them owned by the Marsh family. And so the Marsh family became pretty much fabulously wealthy. But oddly enough, they're not socialites at all. They stick to themselves, and the people of Innsmouth don't do much interaction with the outside world. They like it that way. They've imported luxuries from the outside with all that money, but they You don't see much of them. Occasionally, so they'll send one of their kids to Miskatonic University. One of our other games, Peter Gilman was one of the students of the Gilman family, which is another prominent family down there. The Bishops, the Gilmans, and the Marshes. The Marshes being the most prominent. But other than that, the town is kind of shrouded in a bit of a mystery because they're not sociable people. And there's of course all kinds because of that, because they are reclusive. All sorts of wild, crazy stories come up. That they've got what's called the Innsmouth look, and it may just be a genetic predisposition in some of them to have very wide mouths and kind of bulgy eyes. They're not very pretty people.
Frog-like.
Kind of frog-like, kind of fish-like, yeah.
It's like Bramptonian.
The entire time that they've been doing this research, Michael has been researching the back of his eyelids with a hat over his face.
Well, go ahead and do a spot hidden for me.
Oh, I get to do one too?
I'm just screwing with you because you're not going to see anything. Just the back of your eyelids. You didn't realize there was stuff painted on the back of your eyelids.
All right, sanity check.
Anything else? Yeah, roll sanity check.
Dreamlands.
Do we can we do a bit of historical research on the Marsh family? Like, where did they originally come from?
It's going to amount to pretty much the same amount of information.
Okay.
Yeah, where they came from, that's really hard to say because by the 1700s there were, hundreds of thousands of people in the United States, so they didn't all keep track of their origins.
Gotcha.
And most likely England. Yes.
Can I do a library use roll to see if, maybe there's like a crate of old newspapers where they catalog strange happenings, but any report of this fish boy being caught? I mean, that doesn't seem like it's just something that someone would keep quiet. I think someone would be like, "Hey, look at this fish boy that I caught."
You want newspapers, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there are, of course, like the last 3 weeks newspapers.
Mm-hmm.
But the first one you pick up and look through is, in fact, today's newspaper. And this is what you read.
Always look at the newspapers.
My boy. Knows how
always
to
look
play
at
the
the
game.
newspaper. Yeah, always look at the newspapers. All right.
Can you
I
see
shall
that
read
okay?
aloud. Yep, I see it. All right. Foul play suspected in death of fisherman. Gloucester. Authorities of the Coast Guard, Massachusetts State Police, and Gloucester Police Departments are investigating the death of Harold Bailey, 63, a local fisherman. Bailey was found dead at sea earlier this week by local fishermen. His body was caught in the fishing nets and trapped beneath his boat. The corpse appeared to have been submerged for several days, according to coroner Dr. Whitby Lodge. Lodge's report further states that Bailey's body showed signs of strangulation, including bruises and lacerations of the throat. An unnamed Coast Guard officer stated that Bailey's case is being treated as a homicide.
And it's pronounced Gloucester.
Gloucester.
Because
Gloucester.
that's the crazy way that New Englanders pronounce these names.
God, I can't believe England is a weird place. It's spelled Gloucester, and they're saying it's Gloucester.
I said Gloucester to somebody here, and they were like, "What? Where is that?"
Okay, so I look at the group, and I say maybe this Dr. Bailey is someone that we should speak to.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
Perhaps this is the same fisherman. This is the same fisherman that caught the fish boy.
Yeah, I have a feeling this fish boy leads to the answers.
Okay, well, how about this, ladies and gentlemen? Why don't we get some rest for the evening? And then first thing we can go and we can talk to this man, and then we can head over to the circus over in Bolton.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
That sounds like a fair idea.
All right.
Okay. So, I'm sorry. So, what are you going to do first?
So we're going to talk to the fisherman who caught.
You mean the doctor?
The doctor, yeah.
Bailey Lodge.
Okay, but it's 11:30 at night.
No, we're doing that tomorrow.
Yeah, we're gonna
Okay.
chill.
So what are you going to do right now? Anything else you want to research?
Oh, you know what? What about any accounts out of Dunwich? I don't remember if I don't recall ever being told about the fetus. Actually, no, I'm pretty sure that we all saw the fetus.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
It was a strange deformed fetus with bat wings and strange sort of tentacle things around its mouth, and it was was it Donnie Dunlap from
Donnie Dunlap.
Dunwich?
Yeah.
We have to kind of assume that anything strange at this point could be linked to the psychic disturbance that Elizabeth is feeling. In my opinion, I feel like it's the fish boy, that for some strange reason she has a psychic link to it. But it also could be, as Lenora pointed out when we were there, she pointed out that it sounded like a baby. That the description sounded like, giving birth, and that it was a baby. And we happen to see a deformed fetus. I don't think that's a coincidence.
Yeah.
Although now that I'm thinking about it, and now that you mentioned it, I'm thinking that the psychic feedback that she's getting might be from the fish boy. He's in a new, strange environment. I'm assuming it's a he. But it's in a new, strange environment, and part of that feeling that she got was fear. And so I'm thinking that she's basically feeling what that fish boy or fish thing is feeling.
That's where I'm leaning towards too.
So then my question to all of you is, what are our opinions about what we should do with it? In my opinion, it should be set free. Period. End. Like it shouldn't be
I think
here.
that we should kill that fish boy.
No. I'm with Gwen here. I had the same feeling when I seen it. I think it should be set free.
At about this point, Michael stirs, he's been listening, not quite asleep, and he goes, "Well, there were those people who were trying to buy him that they seem to have more than just a passing family resemblance. We could always try and get it back to his people."
God only knows what they want to do with him. The best thing to do is just put it down, put it out of his misery.
Well, I don't trust Miskatonic, and I don't trust the Innsmouth folk. My opinion is that if it's truly a fish boy, that we bring it back to the sea and we just let it go.
Okay, so my question is if you came upon a baby, you didn't trust its parents or the people who wanted to adopt it, you would just take it out into a pasture and just set it free? For all we know, that's all this thing is an infant, child.
Yes.
And maybe both theories are right. Maybe she was tied to it being born, and also tied to it. So I mean,
He ain't human. You gotta kill it.
Here's the thing. We could speculate all night, but we were hired by the Arcane Society. The best thing for us to do is to inform them what's going on now, and they can have a better idea of what we should do with it. How about this? How about you guys can retire for the evening? I'll stay here for a little while. I'll write up a report, and I'll put it on their desk. That way we can go ahead with our investigation and continue. If they need to speak with me, they can call me before I leave in the morning. Otherwise, otherwise we can continue on to Bolton after we speak to the medical examiner. Yeah, the coroner.
So, is that what you're going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll assume you all go back to your places and you go to bed. And
Well, I do write the report.
Correct. You write a report, and where do you leave the report?
Same desk that the office that we went in and we had our little meeting with them.
Well, that's actually in Ted's house.
Oh, was that in Ted's house?
What you can do is you could slip it in his mailbox.
Yeah.
By the time you get there, of course, it's dark.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll also leave my home number, and well, they already had that, but I said give me a call. Let us know what you think as soon as possible, because we're going to be heading off to Bolton. We're going to talk to the medical examiner.
Okay.
And I'll say this: when I get home, I try to sleep, but those images that I've seen earlier today, especially the fetus, keeps me awake.
Yeah.
So
all of your sleep is restless. It's disturbed from some of the things you say. I just want to jump slightly back in time. Before you all leave for the evening, what are your plans? What are your actual... I don't want to know all of your plans. I mean, have you coordinated when you're going to get together in the morning or anything like that? What time?
Yeah, I would assume we choose a place to meet up.
What about the Arcane Society?
Yeah, we could do that. Oh.
Yeah, you meet right back at the library.
Yeah. Oh, and I was thinking about this, and I look over to Paul, and I say, "Oh, I did hold on to this," and right before I give it to you, I drain it. I said, "Oh, thank you. I really needed that. This might help me sleep a little bit tonight."
That's why I carry it with me.
I need to get one of those.
Let's have you all do... Let's all have you do an intelligence roll. And if you fail your intelligence roll, you had a really rough night trying to sleep. Actually, I turn that around. If you make your intelligence roll.
Oh, I made it.
Because your thinking is what kept you awake.
Yeah. So I made it.
Yeah, I made it in extreme. Yeah, so...
So you kept closing your eyes. Oh, well, then you managed to go to sleep.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, I actually made it by half, and he got a critical, so...
All right.
Yeah. All I'm thinking is, I finally drift off to sleep, and in my mind, I see the floating fetus and that thing, and then I start hearing the crying of the babies.
You see the fetus and the baby, and you see the guy tearing the head off the chicken and sucking the blood out, and
yeah, and then I start having
the thin guy who looks like he hasn't eaten in a year, and the fat woman stuffing food into her face, and you get trapped in the beard of the bearded lady. And the clowns are dancing around doing their little dances. So. Yeah, okay. So you had a rough night.
Yeah.
Some of you have no souls and you just slept like rocks. So you're fine. You woke up. Oh, okay. So what time are you getting together? Did we decide that yet?
Well,
whenever we mosey on out of the bed.
But you're not all sleeping in the same house, so you guys should have made some time when you guys were going to get together.
Unfortunately, we didn't.
That's fine.
That's why I went back in time, not for anything else. But okay, so
I'll say
you
guys
have phones.
Yeah, I'll say that I wait till about 9 to hear from the Arcane Society, and if I don't, then I'll head over to the meeting place. Well, we were supposed to meet up at the Arcane Society anyway, so.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I'll get prepared, get ready, and actually I'm going to write Charles another note and let him know that I'm going to Bolton. I have an investigation to do. So
Let me ask you a quick question, because maybe I'm a little confused. You say you're going to meet at the Arcane Society. Do you mean the library, or do you mean Ted's house? The
I say
president's
the
house.
library.
yeah,
I think the library.
Okay. Library makes sense.
yeah.
All right. Now, once again, we'll move we're in that interim between that moment and the time you woke up. Do you guys make any preparations for today, personally?
I mean, packing.
Michael's gonna go about his normal routine of like cleaning his guns and pressing his suit and making sure that everything is just the way it's supposed to be.
Okay.
And then he's going to get a cup of coffee from obviously his own house and fry up 2 pieces of bacon and toast, and he's going to eat, and he's going to then get in his car and meet in whatever the predetermined location is.
Okay. Gwendolyn, what are you going to do?
Well, I didn't sleep well last night, so I imagine that she probably slept like 2 hours and then got up at 4 o'clock and made herself coffee, made herself breakfast, and then and then went over to the Arcane Society at like 5.
Okay.
And she's just been...
Maybe I didn't make myself clear. What preparations are you going to make for today? I don't care about coffee or... you're going to buy extra ammo? You're going to get yourself a rifle and a machine gun? Or
Like I said,
I'm just joking.
Yeah.
But
like I said, probably just pack.
Okay.
We're heading to Bolton. That's what, 3-4 hours?
No, it's only about an hour and a half, but it's still an hour.
Well, we're staying there.
You might as well. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I'm packing. I guess I call ahead to book a room for myself. I don't know about these guys, but I'm booking a room for myself. And then
Okay,
of course,
there's only one place in Bolton to stay.
Okay.
So
that's fine. Well then, perfect. My choices have been narrowed down.
do you tell them that you're going to be the only? Do you just tell them that it's just you, or do you tell them that there's going to be other people coming too?
I say that the room is just for myself. However, there may be more people wanting rooms that may accompany me.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's about it.
And they would ask you, well, do you know how many?
And she kind of like rolls her eyes and she's like counting on her fingers and she's like, I think 4. I mean, I don't know.
So you and
generally
4 others,
me.
and they're like, oh, we have plenty of room for that.
Okay, that's good.
We have 3 stories, so
Wow,
we're a
that's good.
skyscraper, 3 stories high.
Awesome. And you know what? I'll get extra ammo for my little lady killer pistol that's in my boot. You know?
Your Derringer?
My Derringer, yeah. Just be prepared.
Okay. I like to call you by your names. Paul?
Just the usual stuff, and I'm gonna pack for a week's. I don't know how long we're gonna go, but I figure a week is plenty of time. Whatever we discover should be done in a week.
Okay. Well, they're only in Bolton for 2 nights.
Right, but then we also have the second
Then we've got
location, Aylesbury, for 4
Aylesbury
nights.
for 5, actually 5 nights.
Oh, 5.
Yeah.
So yeah, just
All right.
play it on the safe side.
Let's see. You said the usual stuff. You know what I'm trying to hear is guns or
Yeah,
just
I'm not.
if that's what you're carrying.
Just my usual. I'm carrying my blackjack with me, so I'm just gonna get that. I'm not gonna
Okay.
get armed.
Jeez, everybody in these games wants a blackjack.
Yeah.
Knocking people across the face with your blackjack.
That's Jeff's weapon of choice.
It is.
A lot. It's funny because it comes up in a lot of games.
I mean, I have a cane
I had to
sword.
look up what it was. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't have to look it up this time. I had to look it up a long time ago, but I had to look it up. All right. Mikey, you told me when. Leonore.
Okay, pretty much the same thing as these guys. I'll pack Lenora. Yeah, I'll pack for a few days. I have my 45. I'll bring some extra ammunition, and I'll conceal it in a nice, lovely purse.
45.
Yes.
Ooh.
Look,
She's a tough broad. She's been in the Arcane
Yes.
Society for a while. She saw things that no people should ever see.
Exactly. Besides that, nothing else comes to mind as far as prepping for just comfortable clothes, and yeah, that's pretty much. And then I'll say, well, if we're going to be there for a few days, let me call ahead to reserve a room for myself, and I'll do that.
Okay. You get. Well, you don't know this, but where your guys are calling is the Summer Inn.
Okay.
And oddly enough, when you call, Gwendolyn had just called. So the lady on the other end says, "Oh, well, of course we got a room for you. By the way, are you by chance a friend of Gwendolyn Jones? She said some other people might be calling."
Oh, yes. Yes, she's a colleague of mine.
Of course. Then I'll put you in the room next to her. You're going to be in 2E. She's in 2F.
Can you make sure that my room is a little bit larger than hers?
Well, I'm afraid all the rooms are about the same size, my dear.
Well, can you just pretend so when we get there you can say,
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Lenora, you're a bitch.
I promise we'll leave 2 chocolates on your pillow instead of hers. All right. And we'll charge you twice as much. All right. So you guys are all ready. And I will assume that you get up, you've had breakfast, and you head on over to the Corbin Library where you guys were at last night.
Mm-hmm.
I.e. the headquarters, the pseudo-headquarters of the Arcane Society.
Yeah.
And you guys all meet up there, and what would you guys like to do? Any more preparations before you leave? And where are you going? You're going to go see...
The medical examiner, if he's in Arkham.
Yeah.
So he would be in
medical examiner is in Gloucester.
Gloucester.
How far?
Okay.
How far from Arkham?
Gloucester is about an hour.
And is it going in the same direction as Bolton, or is it in a different direction?
No, it's not. Bolton is inland farther. It's east of you, and Gloucester is kind of like as if you were going towards Salem, so It's actually going towards the ocean, and it's like there's a peninsula that sticks out a little bit, and it's right on the bottom of the peninsula.
Okay.
And then below that is Boston.
Do we
I'm
have
willing to make that fight.
Well, why don't we just see if we can call him? See if his name is in the white pages, and see if we can call him.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually
Now you've made me wonder whether the white pages exist at this point in time. But let's assume no. You know what? Let's assume that what you have to do is you call the operator.
Yeah.
And the operator will look and see if there's a list. So I forgot all about operators. My mom was an operator way back when. Okay. The operator gives you the number for, where is his name? Dr. Whitby Lodge. And says, would you like me to connect you?
Yes.
Okay. This is going to be a person-to-person call. And
I'll hand the phone over to Jacqueline, since you know.
Okay. And after a couple minutes, the phone rings, and she, the operator comes back on. She says, "I have Dr. Dr. Lodge's receptionist on the phone." He says, "Are you ready? Are you?" And she connects you. Dr. Lodge's office. What can I do for you?
Jacqueline.
Jacqueline or Gwendolyn?
Oh, Gwendolyn. Sorry.
Gwendoline.
Okay. So I say, hello there. My name is Gwendolyn Jones. I'm wishing to speak with the medical examiner. It's in regards to a body that he found, a fisherman. I believe that he is my uncle. I'm going to do a fast talk.
Just a moment, please. Did you get it?
Oh,
You're
sorry, I
not
muted
muted.
myself. Yeah, sorry. There's a cat meowing right next to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a 15. I didn't know when you said hold, please. I didn't know if you actually meant. Yeah.
Oh, Yellow Pages were invented in 1883. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
so
really
yeah.
early for the phone. Yeah.
But no,
all right,
I did pass.
Okay. Well. After a couple of seconds, a man's voice comes on. He says, "This is Dr. Lodge. What can I do for you?"
Hello there, Dr. Lodge. My name is Gwendolyn Jones. I'm currently in Arkham attending a seminar. I recently heard, however, that you may have found a body of a fisherman.
Oh, yes, yes, Harold Bailey, a fisherman.
I believe he's my uncle. Now, Harold wasn't really the name he used. He preferred to go by Harry, but I was wondering if anyone has identified him yet. Well,
yes, his family has identified him.
Oh, God, no. I looked at the group and I'm like, I then say, I'm wondering if there's any details on his death. I read it in the paper, and it said that he may have died from strangulation. Was he alone on his boat?
Hold on just 1 second. Who did you say you were again?
My name is Gwendolyn Jones. I'm the niece of... My cat just knocked something down. My name is Gwendolyn Jones. I am the niece of the deceased. I'm going to roll another fast talk. 23. I have a 45 in fast talk, so I'm good.
Well, I didn't say for you to roll anything.
Oh, okay. Should I not? I'll put that
your
over
story's
here.
already falling apart, and I rolled to see if it falls apart, and it fell apart.
Okay.
He says, Miss. He says, "Are you a reporter?"
You got me. I'm a reporter.
Yes. We've been talking to the Boston Globe, and there's nothing more to know. The man was apparently murdered, and they're investigating it. So,
But alone on the ship. That's my main concern.
You wanted to know if he was alone on the boat. Yes, of course he was. He's a fisherman.
Then how could he have been murdered?
Well, that's a good question. Maybe he wasn't alone on the boat, but how would I know that?
Is there anything that you can maybe provide me about the details to his death? Now, of course, this would be all off the record if you choose to say it is. It's going to be held personally by me.
Well, I don't normally talk to the press. And he says, and the body was in a rather strange condition. It had obviously been tied to the net and lowered into the water after the person had been beaten severely, and there were some rather severe lacerations on the back of the body. That's all I can tell you.
Well, thank you. Is there possibly a detective or an officer who's currently who's currently leading the case?
I don't know. I'm
All
sure
right.
there is, but I don't know who it is.
All right. If I were to bring your name up to the officers, would that be all right?
No, please don't.
Uh,
I've already told you too much.
All right. Well, thank you. I'll be in contact with the police department, and your name shall be withheld.
Please don't publish this until the case is solved.
You have my word.
All right.
And I hang up, and I look to the group, and I say, strange stuff is going on in Gloucester.
Gloucester.
Just-
Strange
There,
how?
It was clearly tied to the net. However, they found it without anyone else on board. He was supposedly alone on this ship, and yet somehow someone tied him underneath the boat in his own net.
Do
So-
we know how large this boat was? Was it just a small dinghy, or was it like an actual fishing boat?
Lodges didn't really know anything more than the strange condition that the body was found in, the lacerations, the choke marks, and of course the markings on the wrist where he was tied. But other than that, he really knows nothing. He did, however, say that there's still a case going on, and I think I may call them once we get to the circus's next location.
Let's give this one to you because you all live in New England and you've all been to the shore and you've all been to places like Gloucester and so forth. When they say a fisherman fishing vessel, it's usually a fairly small boat. It's still technically a ship, but we're talking a little cabin on the top where one or two people can stand, and then a winch with a fishing net, and they can usually get by with one or two people.
So about maybe 20 feet.
Yeah, I don't that I can't tell you because I don't know that much. I can't visualize it. But
Something that can be
bigger than a
operated.
minute,
Okay.
Well, if you watch the movie Jaws, that's a
Yeah,
fishing boat.
that's what I'm thinking. Okay.
Yeah. Now, you also might be able to guess that it is possible, under the right and odd circumstances, that he could have gotten caught in his own net and dragged over when the net went down. But it's really odd.
Yeah.
Considering that he was a seasoned fisherman for 62 years.
Gwen, what else can you tell us about the man? So you said he was tied to his net and lowered down. Anything else about the body? Did he mention anything else about the body?
Only that the body was found in a very strange condition. Like I said, he talked about lacerations, he talked about the choke marks, and once again, he was...
The lacerations. Well, he didn't explain where they came from, so it wasn't like he might have got a few hooks. He might have tripped, fell, and got a few hooks into him, and they probably ripped him up.
No, he couldn't explain it.
So
But
apparently, someone or something must have attacked him. What time does the circus in Bolton start?
Circus opens at 2:00.
I was thinking before we leave to do just a little bit more research and see to see if there's any sort of strange reports actually out at sea in this area. I'll look at Innsmouth as well as what is it, Gloucester? Or
Gloucester.
Yeah, that.
Some people say Gloucester, but Gloucester.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, just to see if there's been any sort of strange tales or reports or something like that. Something that the library would probably keep as notes of interest, basically.
How long do you want to look for that stuff?
So what is about 11?
No. Yeah, you guys came to the library about 9, right?
Okay. So
all you've done is phone.
Okay, let's. I'll say we can leave by noon, and by the time we get to Bolton, they should be opening up. So let's take a few hours, I guess.
Okay. Now that I'm here, can I look up like fish deities for occultism?
Well, hold on just one second. Lenore, do an idea roll really quick.
Sure. And my idea is at a 70, so I fail.
Want to use a couple luck rolls or luck points? I'll let you use up to 5 luck points.
All right, I'll use 2 so I can get it.
I just want to remind you that at 2 o'clock the circus opens, which means everyone involved is going to be busy. Alejandro told you that you could come
Earlier, okay.
And
yeah, I do remember that.
Hang out with all of the employees.
Okay. Well, we can always come back to this. This isn't going anywhere. So yeah, let's make our way out there.
We lost Gwendolyn for a second, but she'll come back.
Mm-hmm.
So do you all agree?
I would agree with that.
All right.
Also, to the GM, is Gloucester near Innsmouth?
No.
It is just south of Innsmouth. Gloucester would be the more public. It's interesting because Gloucester is the big fishing village. In reality, Gloucester is the big fishing village here in Massachusetts. And Lovecraft probably designed Innsmouth to be like Gloucester. But Gloucester would be farther up the coast, maybe about 50 miles up the coast, in a far more rural area, in a place where there's very little. There's lots of swampy, salty land, and you really have to take, like they say, the wrong road to end up in Innsmouth. So it's isolated.
Honestly, I've heard that there was the town that it was actually based off of. I can't remember what the name of it, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I've heard it's Gloucester.
In that same area.
Although there's no fish people in Gloucester. Because,
yeah, of course, there's no fish people. They're
That's
all
kind of what I was getting at.
That we know of.
Right. I haven't gone there yet, but it's on my list of things to see. I want to get to Gloucester. Maybe we'll go tomorrow. Maybe we'll go the next day. I want to go to Gloucester. Take lots of photos. Chris, I'll be modern boats.
I guess in story, that's what I was wondering. Is Gloucester close enough to Innsmouth that the fish people, like when you say the Innsmouth look and we saw the 3 guys in the trench coats, like would they be specifically from Innsmouth, or could they have been from
Gloucester? Not likely. The Innsmouth folk are very xenophobic. They don't like outsiders. The Gloucester is it's like below Boston. It's a popular town.
Okay, got it.
All right.
The best seafood that you can get.
Yeah, fish boy special.
Imagine that if you were actually heading towards Innsmouth, you'd be going through a lot of areas of just seagrass and empty, boring countryside. Whereas if you were going to Gloucester, you'd go through Boston, and then you'd be going through some really pretty country, and then there would be on the cliffs overlooking the ocean, and Gloucester's actually probably pretty lovely. But anyways, All right, Thomas is back. You've decided that you're all going to head to the circus early so that you can mingle with the employees. All right, so you all get in your car and you head on out to Bolton, and the ride is pretty uneventful. And when you arrive in the place where it's going to be set up, which is just outside of the town of Bolton, you go past the Bolton Cemetery, which is a fairly large cemetery, and then you get to these fields, and there it's set up in the field. You can see it from the road, so that's good advertising, and they've put a couple of banners up on the road so that people know that here's the way you get to the carnival. And you get a kind of a really good overall view from where you are, because the road's kind of up above and the field is down below, so you can see the carnival laid out there in the field. And you can see that it's already all set up. And about the last thing that's happening is you see that almost all the activity is taking place back where the personnel areas are and where the camps are. People are having breakfast. Actually, they're probably having lunch. There's like a big tent set up where the people are going in there and they're eating. And that's around towards the back of the circus. But there are guards and there's stuff around. You know, if you don't see Brad Rayburn, but you see some of his men that you saw the other day. They're checking the cables, making sure that everything is up straight and so forth. So what would you like to do?
I think we should follow Gwendolyn's lead and try to meet up with Peter.
I think that'd be the best idea.
Yeah. So, do we know, is it the same setup as in Arkham?
It's exactly the same, yeah. They tried to set it up, having been in the circus, you know, they try to set it up the same way every single time because people get used to it. The people who work there get really used to it then.
Okay. So let's go to, let's head through the midway and then go to the psychic's tent, Peter's tent.
Okay. And that was Pete Connor, yeah. Alejandro the Magnificent and Mysterious. Okay, well, when you get to the front gates, they're closed, and there's nobody in the ticket booths. So you can't just get in.
Can I roll something to see if there's somebody walking by?
Yeah, like peeking through the gates.
Yeah, can I roll something?
You can do that, but Gwendolyn would probably realize that you could just walk around the back.
Alright.
Yeah. I was hoping we could either do that or...
True, so.
I was either going to do that or I was going to see if I could say, hey, we know Peter. Can you just let us in?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So yeah,
let me give you that option. We'll say that as you're there, somebody comes around that they're pulling on the canvas, making sure that everything is up straight, and they see you, and they're like, circus isn't open right now. It's not open till 2.
And I hold up my hand and I say, I know that. We're here to see Pete Connor, Alejandro.
I don't know which one that is. Who is he?
The psychic. The one in the solitary
the amazing Alejandro.
Yeah.
Right. Well, he's probably having lunch right now in the back. Does he know you're coming?
Yeah, we're friends of his. If you just let him know that Gwendolyn and company are here, he'll let you know that we're allowed in.
Well, the galley is in the back. Just walk around. You could get there before I do. I've got a job to do. I'm sorry.
That's okay. And I pat the slow man's shoulder. What
do you mean, slow man?
I said I said that.
There's something wrong with the way I talk.
No, you're just special. Mr. Carney. Anyways, so we'll head back to the galley. Is this with now? Do we have to go through the crew tents, or do we just kind of bypass that and go through the top?
Do you want me to put the map back up?
I have the map here.
Okay.
Okay. So would we? Yeah. So my question would be: would we go up north to like where the personnel and the restrooms are, or would we have to go through the camp?
That's probably the way that you do it. You're still going to sort of have to go through the camp, but where it says the word camp on there up at the north, what would you say, the northwest corner?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's probably where everybody's going to be, because there's like tents set up there where the people sit and eat, so they're not sitting in the hot sun.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So we'll just head up and around, and we'll head into the north part of the camp.
Okay.
Cool.
So you walk around that side, and of course it's just a fallow field. So there are crops growing all around you, but there's none in this field. This field's left undisturbed for this season, which is what farmers do. So as you come around the back, you encounter a couple more roustabouts that, they're like, oh, the circus isn't open, but they get it. They all sort of eventually tell you, just go back over there. And when you get over there, it's kind of busy. There's people eating, and there's people chatting, and there's people hanging their laundry up, and there's people washing things. There's like a little stream that goes by right there, which is one of the reasons they chose this spot, so that they can wash and they have fresh water. And eventually, you see a couple of the performers. The first guy you see you don't quite recognize at first, but you realize he's the stilt walker.
Oh, okay.
Looks like he's about 22 years old. Actually kind of good looking. He's in his costume, but he's not on his stilts. And he's like washing some stuff up, but he's like right on the edge of the camp doing that. He's probably the first person you see when you come around the corner.
He's probably about like 4 foot tall, isn't he?
No, he's actually about 6 foot tall.
Oh wow. Okay.
Which just adds to his height. So he of course he sees you and he's like, the circus isn't open right now.
And don't worry, we got special permission to be here.
Well, can I help you with something?
We're here to see Pete.
Pete Connor?
Yeah.
He's probably over there in the tent.
Okay.
And he smiles at the ladies, but he's not pushy. He's maybe a little more shy than that.
Oh, a gentleman.
But he shakes the closest man's hand, and he just says, Marty Bonham. So now as you're walking towards the tent, there's some Italian-looking fellows that walk by, and they're dressed kind of in tights. You're pretty sure those were the jugglers. They give the ladies a couple of looks as they go by. And as you come up to the tent, there's a definite sort of separation here. You've got the people who performed in the Ring show over here, and you've got the freak show people over there, kind of hanging out together.
Do they look like they don't like each other, or is it just a class thing?
Yeah, it looks kind of like a class thing.
Above the line and below the line, essentially.
Yeah, and yeah, there's just something like that going on there.
But
Now,
do we notice any of them like giving dirty looks, like the
no,
underlying people?
they're more like ignoring one another.
Hmm.
And it's just a sort of separation that's there, but there's no like fighting or anything like that going on. Let me just go around sort of and describe the other people you see. There are 4 clowns sitting at a table together. They don't have their costumes on, but they have some of their makeup, so you know that they're clowns. They're sitting at one table together. There's a rather handsome man and a rather lovely woman and a younger woman sitting together. You're pretty sure they had the horses. Mm-hmm. They were riding around on the horses. There is a very large black man, although he's dressed in a rather nice-looking 1920s suit. He's got on a little, what do you call it? Almost like a fedora hat.
Like a bowler?
And, more like a bowler. And he's smoking a big fat cigar. He's sitting there and he's playing cards with, once again, a rather handsome man. Looks like he's about 35 years old. He has blonde hair. And you're pretty sure that was the lion tamer. And you're kind of amazed that the black guy was the warrior, you think. He doesn't look anything like the warrior at this point. You don't see Dots O'Dowd, and at this point you don't see the head of the place, Ted Nichols. You don't see them about, but then they might be eating privately in their trailers. By now, Bonham has joined you again, and he now has kind of decided that you guys want to be friends. So he's nearby, and he's more talkative towards you. Eventually, the 3 juggler guys come over, the Libertini brothers. They come over. Now, at the other table, you see the bearded lady. She's kind of sitting by herself. And probably the closest one sitting near her is Heavy Evie. And she's taken up a big spot. And those 2 women do not seem to like one another. In fact, they don't seem to like anybody there. Okay. So let's see, who else is there? A man walks up to you who is incredibly hairy and just very, very big smile on his face. And he's like, "Oh, we have strangers here, stranger than us." And he just immediately comes up and starts shaking your hands and introduces himself as Ralph Vaughn, the Wolf Man. Yeah. You notice a pretty little, there's the painted lady, the tattooed lady, she's sitting at her table. And after a few more minutes, the guy he doesn't have the makeup on or anything, but he's the guy who had the snakes. You're pretty sure that's him there. And you also see the little short Russian guy, although he's not Russian now. He's just dressed in regular clothes.
What, Tyrion Lannister looking guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe even a little smaller than Tyrion. And you also see the fire eater guy over there, and now that you think of it, it might have more to do with what they look like, because the snake guy and the fire eater are good-looking men, and the more high-paid act people, they don't mind him being around. They don't like Heavy Evie, and they don't like the bearded lady, and they don't like the midget, and so it's the ones that are actually physically odd that they sort of are not paying, or they're not interacting with.
Okay.
And of course, you do see Alejandro over there, and he's like, Gwendolyn, come over here. And he tells the Libertini brothers, he says, could you guys move to another table? These are my friends. They're here to sit with me.
So he's with the above the line people, right?
Yeah.
Or is he below the line? Okay.
Yeah, he's with the above the line.
I'm gonna actively, as we're sitting down and we're talking to Pete, I'm gonna actively look over at the below the line folks to see their demeanor, more or less. And at some point, I will get up and go over there and try to strike up a conversation with them.
Okay. Well, in this case, don't say them. Tell me if you're going to go talk to somebody. Go. I want to know specifics.
Yeah.
I also want to add before we go on there that there are a lot of other people. Okay.
But these are the ones that stand out the most.
Right. These are the entertainers. You're going to have the roustabouts. You're probably going to see Brad. Brad will be there, and
Gwen owes him a date, so
yeah. Brad's probably there, but he hasn't really noticed you guys yet, and in fact, Brad's probably talking to the tattooed lady. But there's lots of other people. There's other roustabouts. There's other personnel. There's a lot of personnel for the show. People that you don't even know who they were, whether that ticket taker or whatever, ticket taker. So amidst all of that, you guys are there.
For what it's worth, I'd like to pal up with Marty.
Okay, with the stilt guy.
Yeah, in other words, we're still together as a group, and we're still Gwendolyn's going. But I'm just bringing Marty along with us, including him in the group.
Okay. Well, Marty sits down next to you. I'll give you a little bit on Marty. Where are you, Marty? Marty's called the Great Bonham, and it's Marty Bonham. He's a stilt walker. He's been doing it for a long time. The stilts are 12 feet tall, and he's kind of soft-spoken, and he admits that except for eating and going to the bathroom, he stays on his stilts almost all the time. And other than that, he just tells you about working in the circus, and he likes it well enough that people don't bother him. And he also, oddly enough, seems to have a good grasp of classical literature.
Really? Then he and I start to talk.
He admits that he does a lot of reading, and he loves reading, because in books you can leave this world, this humdrum world, and you can go out into a completely new place. And it's part of the reason why he joined the circus, was so that he could just sit and read all day.
I asked him,
Have you read my book?
Of course he hasn't, darling. Your book hasn't been sold here in this side of the country.
Well, we should get it sold this side of the country. Be a bestseller.
And Lenora, she kind of rolls her eyes like, here we go. But then I do ask Marty, what is some of your favorite literature?
He says, well, I just finished reading
Fields of Fire, right?
I just finished reading the complete works of H.P. Lovecraft. No, I wish. It hasn't been completed yet.
Lovecraft? I haven't heard of her.
I don't think it's a her. No. You put me on the spot. Damn it. I've got a library in my house.
Treasure Island.
Treasure Island. Okay. Well, I just got finished reading Treasure Island. Why not? Okay. This is that whole scene with Long John Silver and the boy. He says that's just the whole pieces of eight. That's just the best stuff I've ever read.
And then, for a while, I didn't want to steal your fun away from you, Paul, but and basically I'll say for a good while, he and I start talking about literature and things I've read and things he's read. Have you read anything frightening? Are you into like the mysteries and like murder mysteries and stuff like that?
Well, he's like, oh no, but I've read a lot of Edgar Allan Poe. He's from Providence, I think.
There's this other writer. I don't know if she still writes, but if I can remember, her last name is King, and she was writing. She tried to pin herself as an Agatha Christie type of writer, but her stuff is
Agatha
pretty.
Christie's a great writer too.
She is.
So, anyways, you guys have an ongoing conversation with him. Anybody else? There's a lot of people here.
I'm gonna focus my efforts on Peter. Me and him have history. I don't know any of these other people.
Okay.
So to me they're below me. At least Peter's like somewhat equal. He knows the trade.
Well, do you have any questions for Peter or anything?
The very first thing I say as soon as I sit down in front of him is I say, "So, how does it feel to be part of probably the most famous circus ever?"
He's like, Gwendolyn, are you trying to get us both killed? He says, that's a really sensitive subject around here as to who's the most. He says, and right now those fucking Ringling Brothers bastards are taking everything.
Those bastards don't have a fish boy.
And he's like, looks around like this. And he leans in and he says, no, but they might really soon.
What do you mean?
I mean, O'Dowd will do anything to make a buck. I don't know what he'll do. It's all that he cares about is making the hard cash. And if he figures out that he can make more money somewhere else, he'll take the whole freak show and go. And quite honestly, good riddance. And he looks over at the bearded lady.
Do you know anything about anyone prospecting to buy the fish boy? We overheard a little bit. Two people. They looked like they were from Innsmouth. They said that they wanted to buy it for, $200,000.
No. It's 1920s. Come on. There's not that much money in the whole world. They said 1,500, by the way.
Oh, they said 1,500?
Yeah.
1,500 is a lot of money.
$200,000.
$250,000.
You could buy Massachusetts for $200,000. He says, no, really, I didn't know anything about that.
Well,
says, quite honestly, we and the freak show people and us, it's a different thing. The freak show's owned by O'Dowd and the circus is owned by Nichols, and they're sort of business partners, but it's temporary. I mean, it could be something that changes tomorrow. If O'Dowd wants to take his stuff and go, he can go.
So you're saying that O'Dowd and Nichols, it's not one and the same, but two separate entities.
Yeah. Dots O'Dowd, the guy with the dots.
The dots, the freckles?
Yeah. Yeah. And he's like, at this point, he says, there's the ringmaster over there. And you can see Nichols coming up to get food, because the food's sort of laid out on tables. And
it's like catering.
What you want. Yeah, and you just get what you want. They actually cook it all, but they cook it for everyone.
Okay. So I smile at Peter and I say, "Care to introduce me?"
He's like, "Yeah, he'll come over here in a few minutes." And he's like, Nichols is a pretty good guy. And you notice, you don't need a spot hidden for this, but you notice that he takes his time as he's got his food, and he's sort of finding a place to sit, to say hi to everybody and good morning, And are you ready for another good day? And he talks to the freaks just as much as he talks to the performers, because it's all making him money.
So I can gather that he's a relatively nice guy to an extent. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
he's still going to be
about the money.
It's still a circus. He's still making money.
Yeah.
And if somebody did something wrong, he'd say, "Yeah, throw him out."
Yeah. But that's circus life.
He's nice to the people. He's not an elitist. He doesn't think he's better than everybody else.
That's good. All right. I then say, what about so what all do you know about this Dots O'Dowd? I mean, do you know where he got all these people, or where he got his attractions at all?
I don't know. I don't know where he gets them. I imagine he goes out scouting during the winter to see if he can find new acts.
Yeah. Some of them are a little
gross. Yeah. They're gross.
Have you seen the fetuses?
Yeah, no. I don't want to see that again. That's just freaking weird. And he's not even, he acts all respectful and everything like that. You know what he calls them when nobody's around? He calls them pickled punks.
Pickled punks. That's not very appropriate.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Wow. And I'm gonna look around, and so I see Nichols, and he's walking around.
And
but what about?
He's working his way to find a place to sit.
Yeah. Do I see O'Dowd at all?
Not at the moment. No.
All right. So then I look back at Peter and I say, so where's the freak leader?
Oh, Dots. He's not a very sociable person.
Is he in his trailer?
Probably.
Oh.
He might wander in and get some food. He's not a big. He's almost as bad as the thin guy. In the fact we hardly ever see him eat. But I mean, I'm not saying that he's like that, but he does eat. He just doesn't. He's not a nice guy. He doesn't like any of us. And we don't much care for him.
The skinny guy?
No, Dots.
Oh.
No. And he said old. The name.
Jack Skellington.
That would seem appropriate. Freaks. Where are you, freak? Wait. 10, 11. Where's page 12? Oh, there's page 12. That's old Raleigh Gulder. And he points over there and he says, he's a nice guy. He's cool. And he looks at and he says, I'll tell you though, if you're into gambling at all, the one to watch out for is and he points over at the black guy and he says, what's his name? All these names. He said old Big John over there. He says, he's a freaking card shark. I don't think he's a card shark, but boy, can he play poker.
Yeah? Well, that's good to know. I'll have to avoid him.
So all of these people seem to have exotic names, and then they seem to have just regular, everyday names. And
I point at Peter and I say, you know what I like about you, Pete, is that you're not like those guys. And I point. I don't like nudge. I point at the above the line folk. And I say,
And he's like, oh, I'm not, am I? And he starts to get up to get a cup of coffee, and he says, why, you're talking to the great Alejandro, the mystic, as he goes over to get a cup of coffee.
Oh, talking about your Alejandro bullshit.
Yeah, I say I'm talking to Pete from Pennsylvania.
And he says, I'm just like all of these folks. And,
yeah.
All right, so how about somebody else?
Well, Paul. I let Paul speak because I took over his friend, so I didn't know what you wanted to do or say. with.
No, that's fine. I pretty much had all my questions answered.
Well, I want to assume that you guys are here for a while.
Yeah.
So
I will ask Marty, because I mentioned that we're all in our little clusters, like separate clusters. And as we're talking about books and things like that, I'll look over to the below the line folks, and I'll ask him, so what's the deal with you guys? You guys don't get along?
and he's like, well, I try to get along with everyone. He says, but some of the others are, not very happy people. And he says Lisa over there, and he points to the bearded lady.
Mm-hmm.
He says, to be honest, I mean, she's not just ugly on the outside. She's kind of ugly on the inside.
How so?
Just the way she is. I think she's had a really hard life.
Mm.
And
Well,
all she can do is sit there in a chair and
have people
let
stare
at her, and
like she's an exhibit in a zoo or something.
And she told me one time that she tried shaving that beard off, and it just grows right back. So she just
It doesn't help that every time somebody comes in, like those boys the other day, they go around, they make fun of her, and
well, it's the only reason they come in. They want to make fun of her. That's what her job is, to get made fun of. Not a very happy job. Yeah. It's the same with Heavy Evie over there. And he says honestly, the circus the circus probably pays more money to feed her every day than it does to feed the rest of us. And all she does is sit there on the couch and be nasty to the people.
I think that she's gonna die, like, soon. Really soon.
Probably. She's
Just
probably
like
not
that.
the first one they've had.
Just like the fellow who doesn't eat has the total opposite. Where is he? He doesn't come out apparently for breakfast.
No, Raleigh's been there. Raleigh's there, but he's just talking to people.
Okay.
He's walked over and he's joined the poker game with the lion tamer and the African, supposed African.
Yeah.
Quick question, Tom. The camp, and then the section that's labeled for personnel. Is that like where the like O'Dowd and all the other talent, they would all be living / their cabins would be in the personnel tent? They wouldn't be in the camp. So.
Yeah. They're like little personal trailers.
And the camp is more like for
the roustabouts,
the hired hands.
The hired hands and everybody else involved.
Okay.
So I would imagine that while we were there, I don't know if they offered us any like refreshments or anything like that.
You were told you're welcome, please.
Okay. So since I didn't have such a great night's sleeping, I would have been throwing down a few cups of coffee.
Okay.
And I'll say, gentlemen, you have to excuse me. I have to run to the little lady's room.
Okay. Well, they basically show you there's some chemical toilets. They're actually just inside the personnel area. Up at the top, there's like a little tent area, and then down below that is where the restrooms are.
Okay.
But they're chemical toilets. They're pretty. They're actually pretty clean, but they're pretty primitive.
Okay. So I'm going to leave. I don't know what the other folks are doing, but you can come back to me.
And there's not really any place that there aren't people around. So there's not people in the toilet with you, but All right. So anybody else want to talk to anybody else in the circus? Well, once again, you're not just eating now. Maybe you finished eating. People are just mingling around. The entertainers don't have much at all to do until 2 o'clock. Well, until 1 o'clock when they start to get ready for their show.
Is there anything I can look at them for? Like use spot hearing to find something?
You have to tell me what you're looking for.
Just anything skimpy. Anything suspicious.
There's nothing that's really suspicious. Actually,
Okay.
most of them seem pretty nice.
Okay. Even though they ripped me off, little fuckers.
Oh, that's what they do. Okay, so nothing from anybody?
Maybe at some point I'll wander over to the poker game.
Okay.
I will accompany Paul. I won't sit down, but I'll stand behind him.
Okay. Well, at the poker game, you meet, let's see. First guy who talks to you when you walk up is Big John Newland. Big John Newland's about 6'4" and muscular, and he's the black guy. He doesn't have tattoos all over his face. That's all just makeup that he puts on when he does his show. He is very friendly, affable fellow. Please sit down. Let's play some poker with us. Says,
Sure, I would love to. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah, totally fuck you over in this.
And becomes very, he's very affable, very friendly. But once the game starts, it's like, now we're playing poker. And you find that he is a really good poker player.
Yeah.
So I suppose you can do your luck roll.
I was hoping maybe my psychology might come in handy.
You can use your psychology, but I want you to tell me what you're looking for.
I'm just trying to be nice to people.
Okay.
And I'm trying to assess people's attitudes towards the show itself.
Okay.
Like I'm kind of looking for who might be not happy to be there.
Okay. Go ahead and do your psychology roll.
Ooh. I missed it by 9.
Ah.
Okay.
Oh no, wait. So I'm sorry. Psychology. Yeah, I passed that.
Okay. Well, let's say after you've been there for an hour and a half, and you're hanging with these people, the assessments that you've been given by other people seem to be pretty much on target. Nichols comes across as he's kind of like the king sitting with his subjects because he's definitely in charge of everything, but he's very gracious and friendly towards everyone because he knows that each one of them is an asset to the show. The entertainers, we'll call them entertainers, they all look to Nichols as their employer, but they like him. I mean, he's fair, he's honest. If something goes wrong, he doesn't hesitate to take care of it. And if somebody is treated unfairly, he makes sure they're treated fairly. But he's not in charge of the freaks. The freaks, O'Dowd is in charge of them. And he's friendly towards them and he's nice to them, but they're not under his employment.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little bit of he treats them slightly different, not in a bad way, but just because they aren't his employees.
Right. Okay.
So it's civil.
Right. The freaks, for the most part, seem either the hairy guy and the snake guy and the fire eater all seem fairly, they don't care one way or the other, especially about O'Dowd. But they also mentioned that they're the most able bodies. They sometimes help out. They're friends with one another. They don't have any problems with him. Probably because if there was a fight, they could beat the shit out of him. On the other hand, the thin guy, what was his name? Raleigh Gulder. He's a frail old man. He's like 72 years old. He is hideously thin. He admits to you that he probably only eats once a week, and not very much. They don't like him, but they put up with him because he is their employer. The bearded lady seems to have contempt for just about everybody. She doesn't like anybody. Nobody really likes her, but then all she has to do is sit there and make money without doing anything. Heavy Evie is disgusting. She's rude, she's loud, and she's just constantly stuffing her face. Also, the little Russian guy. He's not really Russian. What's his name? Earl Harry. Not a nice guy. Just kind of a dick. He's the kind of a person who'd kick a baby if it cried too much. Okay. So most of them don't hang around. Sometimes they sort of get together and talk so that they can say something nasty about that person and so forth. So you get the distinct feeling that the people in the freak show are not happy people. Except, like I say, the three guys who can kind of hang out together, they're nicer than the other people. And their opinion of O'Dowd is that O'Dowd is just an opportunist, that he goes out and looks for these freaks and brings them back, and he's not very nice to them, and he doesn't care for them.
No shit.
Okay.
He'd probably stick them in a bottle and put them in the display if they died. Just...
Yeah.
Okay, so anything else?
Rallies at the poker game, you said, I think, right?
Yeah. Oh, and the other person is the blonde, the lion tamer.
The lion tamer.
His name is Clyde Court. And he seems like a very nice guy. He's about 35 years old. He's got a Georgian accent. And he loves that lion. He and the lion are just like, he's had that lion since it was a baby lion, and he got it he inherited it from somewhere. It was maybe another circus's baby that their lions produced, and he's raised it since it was a cub, and it fed it milk, and he'd sleep in the cage with the lion and wouldn't worry at all. He just loves that lion. The lion's a big pussycat.
The lion.
And he also mentions that as far as the animals go, Gorgo the ape, the chimpanzee, he's just as sweet. That it's all an act that he and the ringmaster put on. But he's practically a member of the family, although they don't let him run around because he shits on everything.
And throws it on everybody.
And throws it when he gets angry. And nobody wants that flying across the room.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta watch out for that gorilla. That gorilla can rip your head off if he feels like it.
Well, he's not a gorilla. It's a chimpanzee.
Chimpanzee, still, even worse.
Yes, he could.
No, worse, but...
Let me see, is there anybody else here? You talk a little with the painted lady, and quite honestly, she's just fucking lazy. She had no intention of ever working in her life. And then she just started getting tattoos, and now she just sits in a chair and lets people look at her hoo-ha and makes money. And she also occasionally sleeps with them if they pay her enough. But she's kind of there's not much there.
What about the dancer?
Oh, you're talking about now that's the sideshow. Those people, I guess, are here too. The dancer's not there though, and if you make an inquiry about her, they sort of roll their eyes and everything. She's probably, in her tent sleeping. And they let you sort of know that she does drugs. She's a druggie. And they're like, and now here's where there is definitely sort of a level of contempt. And it's like, the people in the sideshow are people who think they have some sort of talent, but it's like really lame. The guys in the costumes and the magician who thinks he's really good and he's really not that good. And they laugh about the time that his rabbit hopped out of his hat while he was lifting it up, and they're like, but you know what? They get paid very, very little for, they're just sort of, and they always say they're here one season and then they never come back.
Yeah.
You got to work your way up to get into the big ring. You got to actually have some talent, or no talent at all. They sort of point over at the freaks, which is really sad. So, anything else before the circus gets underway and you guys wander around?
Well, I'll say that I come back from the restroom. I was actually going to go to the restroom and then walk around a bit to see if I could find O'Dowd. And if I don't find him, see if I could sneak a peek inside the tent and look at the fish boy again.
Okay. Well, let's see. Okay. So you're snooping around.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and do a spot hidden for me.
And I make it.
Okay. You're snooping around, and you're being a little stealthy about what you're, standing at a corner and sort of looking around to see if there's anything going on, and being a little sleuthy. So you look over, and it's easy to tell which trailer belongs to which person, because they're usually brightly colored and they've got their name, Bonham the Great, or the Farley family or whatever. So you can see O'Dowd's trailer over that. And just as you're looking, you see a man, the backside of a man, just coming out of O'Dowd's trailer, and you can see that he's handing O'Dowd like a card. And he immediately, you hear O'Dowd say something like, "Well, I'll think about it." And this man walks down. He's also wearing kind of a Macintosh, a trench coat, and he walks around the back of the trailer, and he heads towards the exit. And you know in that moment that if you run down like a couple of trailers, you'll be able to see the guy's face just as he's leaving
I'll do that then.
the tent. So you run down there, and nobody sees you. And just as the guy is going out the tent, or out the exit, you can see that it is. You can see that it is Professor Jacob Harding, who you saw last night.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I noticed O'Dowd go back into his trailer.
O'Dowd, yeah. He closed the door.
Okay. So I'm going to try and make my way to the freak show tent to see the fish boy.
Okay.
I'm gonna follow.
Well, you're back with the people in the tent. He went to the she went to the bathroom.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so
I'm just like half asleep still.
all right. So you go over to where the freak show is, and yeah, there's nobody there. You could just walk inside.
All right. So I walk up and I'm thinking that this thing, my theory is that, or hypothesis is that it sent out some sort of psychic signal, maybe trying to signal its parents, and Mrs. Coates picked up on it. So I'm going to try something. I don't know anything about psychic stuff, but I'm going to try to think at it, saying that, and in my thoughts, I'm going to say, I'm going to try to get you out of here and back to your family.
Okay. Well, let me describe what happens when you go through the gate, through the flap in the tent. You can see all the stages. There's all the stages. Now, the one with the fetuses, that one's closed.
Thank God.
All of the other ones, all of the ones where people were sitting or standing or whatever, those are open, because they obviously have to get up there and then close the curtains. The fish boy, as you recall, was kind of in a side thing where you had to go up onto the stage and then around the flaps to get to it. So you still have to do that.
Okay.
It's not just like sitting there.
Okay.
Okay. When you do, immediately. Well, first of all, when you come around the corner, there doesn't seem to be anything in the water. The water is pretty much flat, and the big barrel thing is there, and the chicken wire over it. But when you're there for a second and you're sort of looking in, the thing sort of pops up to the surface and looks at you. And it sort of stays towards the back, as far away from you as it can get.
I'll try to send out a thought, like, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm actually going to try to help you.
Okay. Since there's no such thing as psychic powers. Oh,
right.
No.
I know, but I'm just testing.
You're just thinking it?
Yeah, like, I'm not, and I'm like, not aggressive or anything like that. I'll stand apart from it. I'm not going to make any moves towards it.
Okay, well, the looks that you're getting from it at first are, of course, fear and confusion. It doesn't seem to indicate at all that it's understood anything that you've thought at it. But there's a moment when it suddenly swims forward to the front edge where you are, and it puts its little hands through the wire, and it's trying to get a really good look at you. Okay. What do you do?
I'm not going to move anywhere. Like, I'm not going to move too close to it, because I don't want to frighten it. But I'll speak out loud, like, don't worry. We're going to try to find a way to get you out of here. You're not going to be you're not going to be a prisoner for long.
And all you get from it is like that,
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is there anything? While I'm in here, I'll look around a bit, see if there's anything else unusual.
Well, when you take your eyes off of it and you sort of look around like this, you look over and you see the broom. Okay, the broom handle. And when you see the broom handle, it sees that you see the broom handle, and it immediately dives under the water. The water's rippling like this.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk over, pick up the broom handle, and I'm going to leave the tent. And when I get far away from the tent, I will chuck it out somewhere.
Okay. Chuck it out into the field?
Yeah.
Actually, you'd have to leave the whole.
Well, not the yeah, but I mean, like, I'll make my way around. And I'll like walk around like it's a walking stick, kind of like, happy
Okay.
camper type of a thing. And then when I get far enough, I'll like try to break it and then toss it away.
Okay. Meanwhile, what's everybody else doing?
And then I'll head back to where everybody
Okay.
else is.
Okay.
What time is it? What is it?
In
is it-
in the game, we'll say it's about 12:30. So in
Okay.
about a half an hour, people are going to start going back to their places and start putting on their makeup and
Okay.
getting ready for the circus to open.
Paul, what do you want to do?
I have two questions. The first one actually goes back to when I was with Marty. I was curious to question him as to if anybody else shares his love of reading.
He's like, I don't know, not in this place, not like I like to read.
Okay.
Maybe Mr. Nichols. I don't know what he does for fun.
And then the other thing I just wanted to follow up on was at the poker game with Rowley, since he's kind of underneath O'Dowd, ask him if he knows anything about how he obtained the fish boy.
He says, well, he got him only a few days ago, like last week, and got him from some fishermen in Gloucester. I think he paid something like $600, maybe $700 for him. He's like, yeah, that's a lot of money, but at the same time, he can end up making a lot back because that's really something else. That fish boy. He says, I don't know how he did it. I don't know how he did it.
Do you know the name of this fisherman?
I have no idea. Some
No.
old guy. Yeah.
Some
Says
old guy.
he says, but he doesn't own that fish boy all entirely. He says Nichols owns half of it because he didn't have that kind of money on him to buy that thing.
Oh, really?
So he went he's going to have to pay off Nichols before he can do anything with that fish boy.
Was Nichols part of the original deal? I mean,
well, only as a loaner of money, but
Right.
as long as Nichols owns part of it, then he's sort of tied here to the circus.
mm-hmm.
And I, at this point, whisper to Paul, and I say maybe that's the reason why O'Dowd can't sell it, because he still owes Nichols, and Nichols doesn't want to get rid of it.
True, but
It's like, well, he doesn't want to sell it because he can make a fortune on that thing.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like if he initially bought it for $600 and he had to borrow at least half from Nichols, that'd be $300. So we know the trench coat guy offered him $1,500, so he could have easily paid off Nichols his half and then pocketed the rest. But I think it's like what Riley's saying here is it's just a cash cow for him.
Yeah, I think that he might be contemplating maybe getting some big old, somebody a bit more powerful in the circus business than Nichols here. If he could do something like that, then he'd probably go that direction. Because that's what these circuses are all about, is the freak show. People don't come here to see stupid horses run around a stupid ring.
Mm-hmm.
They want to see the weird freaks. That's I've been doing this for 53 years. Says, and I don't plan on dying tomorrow.
Well, you are not too far from Arkham. So.
Yeah, well, I'm not too far from death either. I am 62 years old, sir. Ma'am. Anyway, unless you guys have something really quick, we can end it there.
Okay. Yeah. It is.
No, I'm okay.
Okay. Well, think about it over the next week or so till we get there. And thank you all for playing. I guess we lost a couple of players in the middle. They confessed to us that they were kind of tired when they started playing, so that's fine. Our players included Mikey Haddon, Thomas McKeon, Eric Meisner, Jeff Wilkins, and Wayne Worthy, with yours truly as the keeper of the secrets. Our musical intro, entitled Act 2 Tenebrious Brothers Carnival, was written by Kevin MacLeod and is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution license. Our games are played using traditional tabletop methods with music and sound effects added in post-production in order to create a richer listener experience. This is Tom Rayleigh inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.